Good morning, everyone. What's up? Joe Madden here, and it's time for All-Jo Madden over here on Picks and Parlays. We got a great show for you today. I'm going to have Dan Kaiser and Anton from Advanced Sports AI jumping into the show, giving you some of their best bets, not only on today's slates, but a look ahead to some Sunday football, Monday night football as well. Now, so much going on. If you bet the Steelers, they definitely hurt you last night. The last second Hail Mary by Aaron Rodgers almost looked like the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be able to pull off the win, but they just weren't able to get there. That Hail Mary was fantastic, and it's crazy to think Aaron Rodgers, with his age, was able to throw the ball that deep down the field, but he got it down there and it didn't come up in the Steelers' hands. Joe Flacco getting a win over Aaron Rodgers last night in an ultimately high-scoring game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So really a fantastic game, better than expectations. I do think we saw Jamar Chase lighting things up on the ground. He looked fantastic. He got that anytime tutty. He had 14 receptions? It might not have been 14. I stopped counting at 11, but we did see a lot out of those players out there last night. It was great to see. The defense did step up for Pittsburgh, but Joe Flacco was able to get free. We saw Flacco and Rodgers run. We talked about it last night on your primetime preview on Wager Talk. Couldn't imagine either of those quarterbacks being as mobile as they were out there. Their rushing props were 1.5 for Aaron Rodgers, half a yard for Joe Flacco. So if you were on that show and you grabbed it, yeah, they made you money. You also saw Joe Flacco go over the 1.5 passing touchdowns, over his passing attempts out there. It was a great day. And both of these teams able to really establish solid run games, which is something especially for the Bengals that they hadn't been able to do. And then we saw the Toronto Blue Jays get the win, tying up the series 2-2 with the Seattle Mariners. Their bats came out so phenomenally hot. Castillo ended up getting yanked in that game. Shocking to see him pulled. The bases were loaded, and the guy they brought in, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. He was able to get out of that inning, only giving up 1 run with those bases loaded. So it was a great game. That series 2-2. We're going to be jumping into game 5 today. And then we saw the Dodgers, Tyler Glasnow. If you fired up those strikeout numbers, he was able to get there on those fired up numbers. I believe he got 8 strikeouts as it finished. The Dodgers now leading that series 3-0. So the Brewers backs up against the wall. The series could be done. And the Dodgers going into the World Series, if they sweep the Brewers here, will have a major rest advantage over whoever comes out of the other side between Toronto and the Seattle Mariners. So we're going to jump into all of that. You guys have got so much to go over here. You know it's a loaded day on the slate, but let's bring on Anton from Advanced Sports AI. We're going to go over what he's liking out there in some Sunday football. Anton, happy Friday.
Good morning, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It is great to have you here today. How have things been going? How did the model do last night when you looked at that Thursday night football game?
Oh, last night was too close to call. The model really didn't have a strong signal. So it was just a night to sit back and enjoy a fun game. So I was kind of glued to the broadcast till the very end. Who knew? You know, I put down just a small bet. I was on Pittsburgh's side for some reason. Didn't have anything to do with our model, but it could have gone either way. It was a fun game with 2 of the older gentlemen showing their stuff. It's also really cool to see guys, you know, these top tier athletes, their brains are wired for just like a very talented world-class musician or chess player. And you could just see it last night. So
yeah, definitely could.
Pretty good show.
Yeah, it was. So looking ahead at this weekend, Anton, we got a couple of really great matchups out there. Is the model set on anything as of yet, or is there just a couple games that you're strongly looking at?
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of games. We have been looking at Miami, Cleveland, but weather is a factor, and that's I don't know if people who are looking at that game, keep in mind that it's supposed to be rainy and very strong wind gusts. So take that into account. I'm not sure where we're going to go in the end with that game. Other than the weather, there would have been a very strong signal there. So that's something to keep an eye on. We are looking at the Colts Chargers game right now, favoring the Colts. Both teams are coming off of late wins. The Colts in the first they had a fourth quarter rally versus Arizona last week. They ended up winning 31-27. The Chargers had a field goal at the buzzer against Miami and won 29-27. So, nothing, and two not great teams, of course. The Chargers had no sacks against Justin Herbert, Herbert had no sacks, but they are 6 in sacks this season against Herbert. They have a strong pass rush, and they are 7th in sacks versus opponents. Both teams are missing key personnel. That's always a hassle when you're trying to model these games. Last week, there were several, it's just kind of the norm this time of the season that there are injured key players that have an impact on the results. The Colts secondary is an area of concern, so we'll see about that. But the Colts do lead the NFL in scoring, over 32 points per game. And Daniel Jones, running back Jonathan Taylor have been doing great. Plus, they have a strong offensive line. So we think that the model says that it's going to be a close game, but take Indianapolis +2. We have about a 60% edge there. And while you're at it, you might as well take the over 48.5, 48.5. And there's a 55% edge there as a bonus. So track that Indianapolis versus the Chargers on Sunday.
You gotta love that matchup. That should be a back and forth battle between both of those quarterbacks. We know how strong Daniel Jones has been this season. Kind of surprising what he's been able to do with the Colts. And then Justin Herbert, definitely a gunslinger out there. He's using his legs this season. You just gotta wonder if that offensive line can give him the protection versus the Colts. But I know there's another game that you got circled here: the Atlanta Falcons versus the San Francisco 49ers. Where are you gonna go with this one?
Yeah, so we're going to go. The model has a pretty strong signal under 47.5. It's about a 55% edge. Both sides have pretty good defense, especially Atlanta, and Atlanta is very healthy on the D, as far as I can tell. So the model's looking at that as an under. So that's what we have right now as far as what we're tracking. And so those are two of the things, but things could change. We're looking at everything very closely this afternoon, this evening, and into tomorrow. So
yeah, definitely. You guys
follow
go
us
out
on Picks and Parlays, Advanced Sports AI. And we've had a really good season so far.
Yeah, you guys have absolutely been crushing it. I just wanted to note you guys do go over and shop those lines, because 46.5 are starting to pop up as money is coming in on that under. So if you want to get the best of the line right now, go shop those lines. You can check out Odds Logic for the best of the lines over there. Find those 47.5s that are still available on a couple of books before those numbers are gone.
Absolutely. Yeah. I checked a little while ago. It was 47. So things are 47.5 predominantly. So if things are moving, I don't know if people are listening to me, probably not, but nonetheless, I think the market is seeing some of the things that we're seeing as well.
Yeah, the market is definitely seeing it out there. Anton, you have been crushing it over on picksandparlays.net. You are part of the weekend package. Are you part of the $7 best bet special that's up today? Because today, you guys, you can grab a best bet from any of the participating handicappers over on Picks and Parlays for today for just $7. Anton, can people find a pick over there from you guys, or are you just looking at that Weekend Warrior package this week?
We're focused on the Weekend Warrior. We may pop up with something. Follow us and we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well, Anton, thank you so much for joining us here this morning on All-Jo Madden. Absolutely crushed the books. Can't wait to see you next week.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it. Have a good
Thank
weekend.
you.
Enjoy all
Thank
the
you.
sports.
Thanks. Okay, you guys, that was Anton from Advanced Sports AI. So great to have him here. Again, his models are looking at a couple of the games here, looking at the Indianapolis Colts versus LA Chargers. The models currently pointing towards the Colts plus the 2. We are seeing plus 1.5 on a couple of those books. So shop those lines, look for those 2s. Also looking at that over to come in at 48.5. Currently, he did also mention the 49ers in action versus the Atlanta Falcons, liking that total to the under. Now that total, I'm seeing 46.5 popping up. So make sure you do go shop those lines, look for the 47.5 like he did mention. So lots going on out there, you guys. We're going to bring in Dan Kaiser in just a sec. We're going to start talking MLB. You guys know we need to talk. We got 2 great matchups out there on the diamonds today. Of course, Toronto versus Seattle. This is game number 5, you guys. The weight is on both of these teams as no one wants to go down and take a loss, especially Seattle. After winning the first 2 games in Toronto, the Seattle Mariners then lost the next 2 at home as Toronto's bats have been freaking fire, you guys. And then the weight of the world is on the Milwaukee Brewers today as they are down 0-3 in this series versus the LA Dodgers. We're going to hear what Dan thinks in this one. If he thinks we're going to see the Dodgers sweep them, or is it gentleman's sweep in play? We'll see what Dan is liking here. Let's bring him in to the show. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited for the action out there on the diamonds today. It's going to be a hot one. Let's jump straight into that. That's where I want to go first with you here, Dan. What are you thinking? Because people are saying Seattle bounce back, please. Let's talk that game first.
Okay. Yeah, these couple of compelling series, or we had compelling series early in the playoffs, and then these 2 series look like they're going to be duds. Look like 2 sweeps happening when the Dodgers and Mariners both took the games on the road to open their series. But as you said, Toronto's bats have got hot, and Seattle has turned back like the pumpkin, like the Mariners, and they haven't been able to hit. So I think Seattle has to win this game if they're going to have a chance. I can't see them winning 4 straight or 4 in the series in Toronto. So, it's going to come down. Again, it's going to come down to who's hitting in this one. I know it's a matchup in game 1. Gaussman against Miller. Miller got the better of Gaussman in game 1. In this one, for the show, I'm going to take the over in this one. I think both teams will hit enough to put this game over. But I do have a play, as you mentioned earlier with Anton. I do have a $7 best bet on the side in this game up at Picks and Parlays. So I'm not going to give that out, but I like the over. I like the over in this one because, like you said, Toronto's bats have been hot, and Seattle knows they have to win this game. So, and they've owed Gaussman over his career. So I think they'll be able to get some runs off of him. And for the side, you'll just have to go check out my pick at Picks and Parlays.
Absolutely, you guys. You're looking for that side. It's only $7. Head on over to Picks and Parlays, and Dan Kaiser is participating in the best bet for just $7 today over there. So make sure you head on over and grab it. And again, that is between game 5 here, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners. Now, I want to look at these pitching props just quick out of interest, Dan, because I haven't gone over these as of yet. Like you said, Kevin Gaussman getting the start here for the Toronto Blue Jays. Bryce Miller, the ace for the Seattle Mariners coming out. The strikeout props are low. Toronto's being disciplined at the plate. Bryce Miller, shocked to see this number. It's only 2.5 for anyone looking at those K props. Kevin Gosman, 5.5 minus 132. I am shocked. Are you shocked that Bryce Miller's only sitting at 2.5 for that K prop?
Yeah, sort of. I just never pictured him as a huge strikeout guy. He wasn't really a huge strikeout guy during the regular season. If you look at K's and how many innings he's pitched, but it's the playoffs usually, and it's Game 5. It's a must-win game. I think the batters may be a little more jumpy at the plate, trying to get the big hit. So I'd probably dabble a little on that over.
Ooh, I think I would.
All you need is like one bad call by the umpire. A ball that they call it a strike and a strikeout. So yeah, I'd definitely take the over on that one.
Yeah, and if you guys are looking to fire up that number, not too often we can take a fired up number of Bryce Miller, 4+ strikeouts at plus 174 if you think he's in for a big day, which would be meaning Toronto is going to stumble out there, you guys. 5+ strikeouts at plus 410. But Dan, I know you've got a play on the side, so we'll move off of that game. For the free play, you are looking at that one to go over the total of 7, and that's a nice way to go. Seattle's going to have to keep competitive, and so will Toronto. They're both going to want to get things done. Let's look at the second game. We got the Dodgers here taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers, their backs completely against the wall. Dan, take it away.
Yeah, I think looking at this series before it started, I thought the Brewers' only realistic chance was to get to the Dodgers bullpen in these games. And obviously that hasn't happened. Snell won 8 innings, shut him down for 8 innings in Game 1. And then Yamamoto says, hold my beer, and went 9 innings. So at this Milwaukee team, that they're a good team. I think they're a good regular season team. I'm not sure they're built for the playoffs. Their starter in this game, it's basically by process. It's based by elimination. I think it's going to be Chad Patrick. He started Game 1. That's basically all they have left. Mizorowski's out. Peralta won't start in this one. They can't use the guys from Game 2 and 3. So it's down to Patrick to try to keep him in this one. I don't see it happening. The Brewers just haven't generated enough offense, and anybody on that Dodgers lineup can generate offense 1 through 9. I think the only play for me right here is a value play, and that'd be taking the Dodgers at minus 1.5 at plus money. I don't want to lay the big number because the one thing going against the Dodgers is Ohtani, so he won't go 8 or 9 innings. He'll probably go 5. And then you have to then go to that Dodgers bullpen that has not really been great during the regular season. That was their one weak spot. It's gotten better in the playoffs, but, can you trust that they haven't been used a lot lately? So they're rested. But I don't know if a rested bad pen is worth anything. So I'd lay the 1.5 with the Dodgers in this one and take them at plus money.
Yeah, you got to look at the Dodgers here. Ohtani should be able to come out strong. And I feel for the Milwaukee Brewers, they just have choked things away here versus the LA Dodgers. We know the Dodgers bats can be hot. And I would expect some mistakes as well out of the Brewers as they're scrambling to try to stay in this one. What would you think of a Dodgers team total if people don't want to lay that run line there? I'm just trying to pull up what the number is going to come in at. I'm expecting in this one for it to be a 4.5, though.
Yeah, I'd probably take the over because again, you got Patrick going, and then who's going to go after that, and how long is he going to go? And I mean, the Dodgers could score 5 in an inning against one of the Brewers' many average relief pitchers. So I would have to, I'd rather take the over and root for runs than every time the Dodgers get on base, hoping they make it out. So
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it is 4.5 for that total for the Dodgers, plus 102 to the over. So they should be able to come in nice and strong. They got to be feeling themselves right now, up 3-0. So hopefully they don't take a step back, because what do you think? The Dodgers finish this out tonight. How big of an edge do they have over Toronto or Seattle, Dan, in your opinion, with the extra rest?
I know what you're saying, but it didn't help Toronto. They had the extra rest going into the Mariners series, and they couldn't hit the first two games. I think that's the drawback. Yeah, it helps their pitchers. Their pitchers will be well rested. They'll be able to set their rotation how they want it. But you got a week of, or if it's a week or how many days, you got a batters not really facing live pitching, and they can hit live pitching in practice. It's not the same as game time live pitching, and that'd be my only drawback. Looking at the Dodgers in the first game is that rest may hurt their hitters. It helped their pitching, but it may hurt their hitters, as we saw Toronto. It took them basically 2 games to get their bats going again. So
it's always a question. Rest or rust, right? What we're going to see out of these players for sure. Now, college football. I know you've got a couple of college football games that you do have circled. Penn State in action versus Iowa. What have you got for us in that matchup?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at 3 games, and I think because they all kind of go together right now.
You roll with all 3 of them.
Okay. I like Michigan State, U of M. I'm looking at the Michigan State game today, or Saturday, U of M game, and Penn State, because all 3 of these teams find themselves weirdly in the same position. I mean, they're looking to save their seasons from disaster and keep their coach's job. Sorry, Big Game James, your job can't be saved right now. But as he was let go earlier this week by Penn State. But every year you go into these 3 teams go into the season basically the same way. MSU fans, they go into the season with hopes, not high hopes. We just have hopes. You got the Walmart Wolverine fans. They go in thinking they should just hand them the championship trophy, kind of like Trump and the Nobel Prize. Just give it to us. We deserve it. And then Penn State always goes in thinking they're the bride, and they always end up the bridesmaids. And the Penn State fans, I don't know, maybe you can tell me. I think they're either schizophrenic or have early onset dementia. They're always
I'm not looking to. I want to all the friends I can get out there, Dan. I'm not going to go after Penn State fans.
But they're always asking. We are Penn State, and then what? You can't remember who you are. You know.
Good point.
But looking at these games, okay, I'll start with the Penn State game. Can things get worse for Penn State? They've lost 3 in a row. Coach is fired. This starting quarterback is out for the season. But you know what? In Happy Valley, it can get worse. Kurt Cincinnati, the guy that they wanted, just signed an 8-year, $90 million contract to stay at Indiana. Imagine that, a coach staying at Indiana over Penn State, and we're not talking basketball. But in this game, Iowa's a tough place to play, especially at night. It's going to be a 7 o'clock game. Now you have a redshirt quarterback, a new coach. You always think, will they get the fired up or the fired coach, new coach bounce? I think maybe if Aller was under center, that might happen, but I don't see it happening with a backup in this game. And to take pressure off a quarterback, usually you try to run the ball. But Iowa allows us 79 yards rushing a game. And Iowa's Iowa. They run the ball. They don't make mistakes. They play good defense. It's been that way since, I don't know, back to Hayden Fry. They haven't changed since I've been born, I think. And so in this game, I will have a play up on the side in this one. So I'm looking at the total for here. I think it's a low total. I think it's 39.5. But I'm liking the under in this one because I think the only sadder thing on the field Saturday than the Penn State offense would be, when they wave at the kids at the Children's Hospital before the fourth quarter. Neither team can score. Iowa's not a big scoring team. Neither team can score. And even though the total's low, I'm still taking the under 39.5 in that game.
Yeah, it looks like a solid way to go with Penn State and Iowa to that under. It's going to be a loaded day of college football out there. You're going to have all your picks up for sale over on picksandparlays.net. You do have that $7 best bet today, you guys. If you're looking for Dan's best bet for a side between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners, you can grab that over there on picksandparlays.net. Every Friday, any participating handicapper, you'll be able to get their best bet just for $7. And then Dan will also be part of the Weekend Warrior, where you're going to be be able to grab all of his college football plays as well as his NFL plays for Saturday and Sunday for just $49. And Dan's such a nice guy. I don't know if you guys can tell from the show. He's a great guy. He's going to throw in those Monday plays at no extra cost for you guys as well. So, Dan, what can they expect when people go over to get that Weekend Warrior package? Roughly, like, how many picks would they get for that $49?
For Saturday, I'm looking at least 5. For Sunday, between 3 and 5, and then because there's 2 games Monday night, so there'll probably be at least 2, maybe 3, throwing 2 sides in a total or something like that. So yeah, they're probably anywhere between 10 to 15, 16 plays.
Got like basically a baker's dozen, maybe a couple more. So definitely something that is worth the $49, you guys. But Dan, let's jump into Monday Night Football. We have a game.
Can I just real quick the other 2 college games? I'll just make it quick.
Oh, yeah, go on over those other 2.
MSU, Indiana. That game's going to get ugly early. Indiana's going to torch that Michigan State secondary. Aiden Childs, he got a concussion last week. Many people in the Spartan Nation think he's been playing with a concussion all year. I think Indiana's going to be able to name their score. Last I looked at the line was 27.5. I'd lay the 27.5 in that one. And it's a pretty low total at 52.5. I think Indiana may score that on their own. So I'd play Indiana minus the 27.5 and the over. And I personally, I wouldn't mind if the Spartans won after Big Game James for their new coach. Let's get rid of Smith. And I know a lot of people in the nation are saying, well, why would we want him? He can't win the big games. We haven't played in a big game in years. I would like to at least be in a big game to lose. So I would look at Frank that hopefully State can find a way to get him. This Washington U of M game, 2 good dual threat quarterbacks. While Washington's 5-1, Michigan's 4-2. Michigan knows they have to win out to have a chance at the playoffs. I think Moore is on the hot seat. They won't say it, but I think he's on the hot seat. This team's not playing up to expectations. So I'm taking the over in that one. The only concern about the over in that one is Washington has to travel east and play at a big noon kickoff, which is 9 a.m. their time. And we saw what happened with USC when they went east to Illinois. It took them a half to get going offensively. And that could happen here to Washington. But again, it's a relatively low number. I think both these teams can get in the middle of the high 20s. So I'd take the over in that game as well.
Okay, one more time, Dan. Can you recap all 3 of those games? Your best free picks in each.
Indiana minus 27.5 and the over. The Washington U of M game, take the over. Penn State, Iowa, take the under. And I will have a play up on the Penn State Iowa game up at Picks and Parlays this weekend.
There we go. You guys are getting all of those free picks here on All-Jo Madden on Picks and Parlays. Make sure you do join us every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Dan is graceful enough. No, what is the word? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on the word. You're nice enough to join us here every Friday. So you know the word I'm trying to think of. Yeah. I just don't. Not enough coffee this morning, Dan, obviously. For me, at least. It's still early here.
Yeah, well, no problem. But I just like to point out, maybe I should put this at the beginning when I start the disclaimer. Everything I say is my thoughts and does not reflect on Joe Madden and the All-Jo Madden show.
There should be a disclaimer running there right now. I'm joking. And same with me. Everything I say are my thoughts and not putting words in Dan's mouth as we move on to take on his Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be a big Monday Night Football matchup. We've got a spread currently of 5.5. It comes down to like Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, what these defenses are going to do in this one. Can Baker do enough to keep it tight, Dan? Total 52.5. I know both of these teams can sling the rock, but is this total maybe getting too high even?
I didn't think so when I saw it. In this game, as M and Trick would say, welcome to Detroit City. I mean, Tampa's got to come up to, Ford Field. The thing about this game, what I find interesting about this game and what's going to decide it, you've got Detroit, who's half their secondary is not playing. And then you got Tampa Bay, who I just looked at their injury report, and none of their, except Mike Evans, who was limited practice, but he's got a hamstring, none of their starting wide receivers or running backs practice. So who knows how many of those people are going to play. So you're going to have a secondary full of backups, and you're going to have an offense for Tampa Bay full of backup wide receivers. So who has an advantage there? So I'm not looking at the side right now in this game. I'm looking at the total. I think this game will go over the number. I think Detroit, they have weapons. They'll score. And the thing is, if it was a backup quarterback for Tampa, I look at it differently. But Baker's a good quarterback. He knows where to put the ball. And the thing, even though they're backup wide receivers, they know where they're going. They know what the play is. They know where they should be. I think that makes it easier than having backups in the secondary. So I think Tampa Bay will be able to move the ball against Detroit. I think they will score, but right now I'm not looking at the side, but maybe closer to Monday. But right now I do like the over at 52.5. I think both teams will score.
Yeah, we should see the points, right? And I love how you said not putting words in my mouth, because you said Baker is a good quarterback. Baker Mayfield is a quarterback. Yes, he's good, but there's something about Baker that I just can't stand, and I still can't work out what it is. I feel like he kicks puppies down or something, and I'm putting words in everyone's mouth saying that, and I'm not sure what it is.
I hate him. I think he's overrated. Everybody loves him. Everybody says, "Oh, he's an MVP candidate." What? Yeah. He's bounced around a bit, and he's had all these different shots, and he's good. But come on, it's like they elevate this guy to be something great, and then it's like Goff is just Goff. Yeah. And if you look at the numbers over the last 4 or 5 years, Goff is right up there with Mahomes and Allen and statistics. But it's always like, oh, he's a not a system quarterback. Oh, he's a stay in the pocket quarterback. He doesn't run. He's not flashy. I don't know. I'm not a Baker. I did like the Baker. I like the Baker commercials when he was in Cleveland. That's
okay. See, that's where I think I started disliking Baker, is watching those commercials. I didn't like the Patrick Mahomes commercials either, but I am a Chargers fan, so that makes sense. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Jared Goff just doesn't get the respect in the media that he deserves, maybe because he's not that flashy quarterback that's really making a scene out there in the press, right? So you got Jared Goff with 256.5 for his passing prop in this one. Baker Mayfield coming in at 242.5, and both of them over 1.5 passing touchdowns, way too highly juiced. The books are looking for a high scoring one in this, because Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns is minus 205. I love where you're going with that total, because we saw Thursday Night Football fly over the total last night. This one, these two quarterbacks, they should be able to get there, Dan.
Yeah. Oh, and I was way wrong on the Thursday Night Football. Didn't see any of that coming. None of it. But Mike Tomlin made a good point when the Browns traded Flacco to Cincinnati, because he said, "What are they doing? Why would you trade a starting quarterback within your division?" And he hates playing against Flacco, and he has to play him twice.
So were the Browns just trying to screw Mike Tomlin?
No, Mike Tomlin thinks so.
Yeah.
The Browns, I don't know. I don't know what the Browns think. I really don't. So
it would be a good strategy, though, right? Give the Steelers 2 losses there versus Joe Flacco when, they're not going to use him, right? Take Mike Tomlin down a level, play a little bit of head games there. Definitely is what is on his mind right now. He feels like they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
They would have.
Yeah. I don't know. The Browns are the Browns. So I don't know what they think, to be honest. I hope Cincinnati goes in and beats Cincinnati. Or Cincinnati goes in and beats Cleveland now. Flacco can go back and, say, I got there. Thanks. Screw you.
It should be interesting if Cleveland can take on the Miami Dolphins. That spread currently sitting at 2.5 out there, you guys. We're seeing a low total, 36.5 in that one. It's going to be a loaded slate. this weekend, Dan, so people can head on over to picksandparlays.net, get all of your football plays for Saturday and Sunday just for that $49. We have your best bet between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners up for just $7 tonight over on the site as well. On the weekend, other than football, anything else that you're going to be loading onto the site that people definitely need to go check out?
Well, there will be some hockey up there. It's early in the season, so I try not to do a lot. I kind of like pick and choose right now. But yeah, so I'll have a little bit of hockey, and I know the NBA's starting soon, so when that kicks off, the same thing with the NBA. I usually pick and choose for the first couple of weeks, but yeah, once that sport rolls around, that'll be up there also. So it's back to being and if there's any baseball, if there's a game 5 or 6. For the Dodgers and Mariners, I'll have that up there as well. So, yeah, there'll be plenty to choose from.
Definitely going to be a lot of stuff loaded over there. So you guys head on over to picksandparlays.net. And that word I was looking for was gracious. Cody, thank you for coming in with the word gracious. I knew it started with a G, Dan. It was just one of those mornings. But graciously joining us here every Friday. So make sure you guys do tune in every Friday as Dan Kaiser, when his schedule does allow, is going to be here with us. And I so appreciate your time today. So Dan, absolutely crush the books tonight. Crush the books this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, Joe. It's always good to be on.
Thank you so much. You guys, that was Dan Kaiser. Make sure you do head on over to picksandparlays.net to grab his $7 best bet that he has on the diamonds today. It's only $7 from any of the participating handicappers here on a Friday for their best bet. So don't miss out on that. It's a Friday special because who doesn't freaking love a deal on a Friday? That's less than my daily Starbucks coffee, which is kind of embarrassing to say, you guys. But also that Weekend Warrior package up on picksandparlays.net. For that, you're going to get the picks in football from the handicapper of choice for just $49 for Saturday and Sunday. They're going to throw in those Monday plays as well. So that is anyone on the site that is putting out those football picks. And you know there's a slew of handicappers. If you're looking to see who is on the leaderboard, head on over there as well. And there's a great live odds screen on picksandparlays.net that you want to check out when these games are going. Now, we are seeing some movement in some of these lines. We've seen Sunday's game between the AFC West rivals, the LA Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. We're seeing 12.5. So if you are looking for the dog plus the points in that matchup, you're starting to see that increase in the line, plus 12.5 currently. It was 11.5 yesterday. So something to note if you're watching that one. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings, this line keeps flipping, you guys. The Philadelphia Eagles are a 2.5-point favorite. Currently, the Minnesota Vikings are the 2.5-point dog at home. We did see them move into that favorite role for a brief moment yesterday as a 1.5-point favorite. So we are seeing things changing around in that one. Now, it is Carson Wentz currently listed on the books. We know JJ McCarthy did practice this week, but Carson Wentz is listed. And I think that is the right move by the Minnesota Vikings. I would not love to see JJ McCarthy come out versus this Eagles defense, who I know the Eagles are banged up right now, but it would be dangerous to put him in there. I do think Carson Wentz has a better opportunity of getting things moving. We know that game over in London, that is your early game this Sunday. You got to get up. It is 9:31 Eastern if you want to see the LA Rams and the Jacksonville Jaguars play. Currently, spreads of 2.5 or 3 out there. The LA Rams being that favorite. Total 44.5 in that one. And then another game that I think is quite interesting. Which side are you guys going to be on? You've got the Chicago Bears coming off a big win on Monday Night Football. They're now taking on the New Orleans Saints. The Bears at home. How are they going to respond off of that big win is the question mark in this game. Can the New Orleans Saints and Spencer Rattler get another win on the season? They're a 4.5-point dog, you guys. And I tell you, I am tempted. I'm looking at the Chicago Bears, and I don't know if they're going to be able to, on a short week, pull it together with with what we saw out of them, the big game we saw out of them, the emotional win, I think it could be a spot where then Bear fans come back down to reality. I don't want to see it happen, but I do think the New Orleans Saints are going to be prepared for the Chicago Bears. It's an ugly dog. I understand that, but I think the Saints plus the 4.5 is enticing right now at minus 105. I'm hoping the betting market drives this number up. I would love to get the Saints plus 5.5. They're plus 200 on the money line. If you are crazy, I kind of feel crazy this weekend, though. I kind of feel like the Saints can get another win. Another ugly game, the Panthers versus the Jets. That one is a 1 p.m. Eastern matchup between the Panthers and the Jets. The Jets, the home dog at plus 1.5 at minus 115 on the books. You got a total of 42.5 in that one. And then an interesting one, the New England Patriots rolling into Tennessee, a 7-point favorite. The lines are inflating on this game. I saw 4.5 before. So I do think the Patriots are the right side. I would like this number to drop a little bit. I think this could be a nice live betting situation if Tennessee is able to drive down the field and even get a field goal on the board first. If we see that situation, then we are going to see the line come down. So looking at the quarterbacks in that matchup, you got Cam Ward for the Tennessee Titans. We know he can move the ball, and Drake May there for the New England Patriots. It's going to be a hard game for Tennessee, but one that I kind of think that 7, little too much. If I had to right now, it'd be the Titans plus the 7, and I'd wait for the Patriots for a better number. I'm not going to take the Colts or the Chargers in that game. We had Anton coming in saying he's liking the Colts. Plus the 2.5. We're seeing 1.5 on the majority of the books out there. He's also saying the model's pointing towards the over 48.5. I tell you, the Chargers offensive line is so beat up. I don't know if I can trust it. We saw them in that last game versus Miami, and we know that came down right to the wire. I love this Chargers team, but without those key weapons on the offensive line, Justin Herbert is going to be scrambling in this game. This is a game I would look at Dicker the kicker for those field goals. I would also be looking at Justin Herbert to use his legs. Now, Daniel Jones should be able to answer back with his legs too. We've seen the strength of both of these quarterbacks so far this season, being able to do so. The Denver Broncos seem like a large favorite over the New York Giants. Jackson Dart and Scadaboo really have been firing out there together. And we know, even though Scadaboo's a running back, he's getting some short passes. Scadaboo, I definitely would look at versus the Denver Broncos. Now, the Denver Broncos are built on that defense. We have seen Bo Nix has some struggles getting those connections out there, but I do think against the Giants in this one, we're going to see him be able to move the rock through the air. So I would be looking at a pretty competitive game between the Giants and the Denver Broncos. I know when you look at Denver and you look at them in Mile High, you don't want to take an over, but I think 40.5 is too low in this. I'd look at the over 40.5. So let me know what you guys are thinking in this one and what you're thinking overall for Sunday football. We've got lots going on out there. We mentioned everything happening in MLB out there on the diamonds. I'm rooting for Toronto to be able to get another win. It's going to be a hard one. Bryce Miller of the Seattle Mariners is their ace today. Their ace has to come to play. I'm looking at this one to go over. You know, you look at Kevin Gausman, you look at Bryce Miller. It's the bats here. It's the bats of the Toronto Blue Jays that I believe in. And even if Bryce Miller silences them in the first couple of innings, I do expect this one to finish up going over that total. Now, we can look at a couple different things. We can look at the first 5 innings. I was shocked with the runs Toronto was able to get on Costello yesterday. The first 5 innings, total runs over 3.5. You guys, I think is a great price. It's coming in at minus 122. I would look at the Yurfee. I think one of these teams gets a run in the first inning. I won't be shocked if it's Seattle on Kevin Gausman with that little bit of pressure on him in Seattle in this one. So the Yurfee coming in, the yes runs in the first inning at plus 112. You will get value there. Now, I think Bryce Miller can get those strikeouts, even though Toronto doesn't strike out a lot. Over 2.5 strikeouts, it's juicy at minus 146. but I will take him for his ult strikeouts, 4+ strikeouts at plus 174, half a unit on each of those. You guys, when you look at Kevin Gausman, that number is too high for me. I do think he can get those strikeouts on the board. We've seen him in games get 9 strikeouts, but in this one, I'm looking for the Seattle Mariners bats to be a little bit more disciplined. If they hit him hard, you're not going to see him stay long. So 5.5 at minus 132 price tag. I can't get there. I don't want to take it to the under, though. I think it's too risky to the under. When we look at the Milwaukee Brewers and the LA Dodgers, you guys, this one has a total of 7.5. I do like the Dodgers team total over 4.5 in this. I think the bats come out so hot as the Milwaukee Brewers make mistakes. You're going to see as this one goes deep into the game, if the Brewers are down, the pitchers are going to get antsy on the mound. You're going to see those mistakes coming. And what better team to capitalize on it than the bats here of the LA Dodgers? So the over 4.5 runs for the LA Dodgers giving us plus money today. Looking at Ohtani for some pitcher props out here, I think will be an interesting way to go. His strikeout number is 6.5. Can Ohtani come out here and go over 6.5 strikeouts? I do think he can. I think the nerves of the Brewers are going to be there today. Ohtani over 6.5 strikeouts coming in, you guys, at minus 104. I'm not sure if I would ult him. If you want to ult him to 8+ strikeouts, it's plus 182. That is a long shot for sure. So I think it's going to be interesting to see the way that game plays out. I will be looking for the Dodgers to finish it out tonight. I do think they cover the run line of 1.5 at plus 104. I feel for the Milwaukee Brewers in this one. If you just want to take the total of 7.5 to the over, I don't blame you. That's coming in at minus 102. And I'm seeing, Jermaine, your comment there. Dartis scored on the first drive every game. I don't know about this one, though. Yeah, it's going to be hard versus the Denver Broncos. You look at that defense of the Denver Broncos, and they're going to bring that pressure in that game on Jackson Dart. I still watch what he did versus my Chargers in that first game out. The next game out, he had those struggles, but I tell you, he's got the confidence out there on the field, maybe a little bit too cocky for my liking, but I love Scatterboo, and I loved watching Scatterboo in college, and I love what he can bring to the table. I'm all over the Scatterboo props. I'll be looking at his rushing props, but I'll also be looking at that combination of the rushing and receiving, getting those short passes off from Jackson Dart. I'll be probably looking at him for the anytime tutty. We'll just have to see if it's not too juiced, but that's the action on a Sunday for your NFL. We talk today's baseball games, everything happening out there on the diamonds. Now, there are a couple of college games today that we can definitely look at. Louisville versus Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida, 13.5 point favorite in this one. Total of 49.5. Now, while I do think defenses will come out strong, I'm leaning to the under 49.5 here at a 7 p.m. Eastern Friday night game. I'm expecting those defenses to really shut things down. When we look at Nebraska versus Minnesota, this one has a total of 47.5. And I do think it's another lower scoring game. I know 47.5 seems like such a low number, but the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Minnesota Gophers are going to bring that defense. And then San Jose State, Utah State. This one, it's got a high total for a reason, you guys. I'm not expecting a lot of defense between these two teams. Total of 61.5. Give me the freaking over. 61.5. I'm looking for closer to 70 points between these two teams. Now, San Jose State, a nice dog here. They're a 3.5 point dog, plus 154 on the money line. I think they're worth a shot tonight. I think they have every ability. And your very last game of the night is North Carolina taking on California. Now, North Carolina is an 8.5 point dog rolling into California. This one has a total of 47.5. It's going to be interesting to see how these two teams play this one out. I'm not sure where I would go with this game. This is a game that I really don't have a good feel on the total or the side. I think the spread of 8.5 looks like a little bit too much. So if I had to take a side right now, it would be North Carolina plus the 8.5. But I want, again, live bet this one. This is a late night game. We're all going to be sitting on our couches, counting our cash after getting these wins from the earlier slate, right? So we'll have extra money to play with. If Carolina goes down first, or sorry, California goes down first, I want to come back in on them. I'd be comfortable laying 3.5 with California. I don't want to lay 8.5. So I do think they get the win. I just don't think they cover. So off the top, it is plus 8.5 for North Carolina. So that is your college football slate. That's what I'm liking out there. And remember, if you're looking for the handicappers best bets from Picks and Parlays, do head on over to picksandparlays.net. We do have 4 games out there on the ice today and some fantastic games as well. The Minnesota Wild taking on the Washington Capitals, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Detroit Red Wings, the Vancouver Canucks and the Chicago Blackhawks. Vancouver, back-to-back night. They beat the Dallas Stars last night. I'm still shaking my head at where that offense came from that hadn't been productive all year. And then we have the San Jose Sharks taking on the Utah Mammoth. It is a short slate out there on the ice. Do stay tuned to picksandparlays.net and YouTube. Actually, stay tuned just to Picks and Parlays on YouTube for my short. I will be having a reel popping up here that will give you 2 of my favorite bets on this 4-game slate. And it only takes 60 seconds to watch. So you guys make sure you go on over and watch that. That will be up later today. So you're going to look at that money line versus Utah State. Yeah, the money line is a nice price, a nice dog there, 3.5-point dog, taking them straight up on that money line at plus 154. I think is a great way to go. But you guys, I appreciate each and every single one of you for joining me here on All-Jo Madden. If you guys want to see the show 5 days a week, you guys know I would love it. I love joining you guys here and the handicappers talking out all of these games. So if you want to see it 5 days a week, you got to do me a solid. You got to hit that like button. You got to comment below this show after it is done. Let me know what you're liking. It just all helps the algorithms because the more viewers we get, the more likely we are to run this show 5 days a week. Remember, we are live here now, Monday, Thursday, and Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Let me know what else you want to see from the show. We're open to all of your recommendations for what you want, and we're willing to give it. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Cody, I see your teaser there. Nice way to go with that teaser. But you guys, let's make some freaking money. Until next time, stay hot. I can't wait to join you here Monday. Crush the books this weekend. Bye, you guys.